Eso es suficiente. Buenos días, mis queridos alumnos. Aquí andamos de nuevo. Voy a empezar a leer. Y como siempre les estoy diciendo, alguna pregunta, mándenme un mensaje y con mucho gusto les ayudo. Especialmente si deberían ya estar haciendo las preguntas. Si no, hay que ponerse a tiempo. Y a ver, creo que vamos ya en el capítulo 15. Sí, así que déjenme llegar a esa página y vamos a comenzar. Okay, so we're back. Breaking Through by Francisco Jimenez. I believe we're in chapter 15. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And let me see here. And is it 15? I think we're in 15. 13. Okay. Turning a page. Okay? We're all the same? All right. Let's start. At the beginning of my junior year, I went to see my counselor, Mr. Kincaid, to go over my class schedule. On my way to his office, I thought about the first day of my freshman year when I met him. This time, I felt much more confident. I walked in his office. He was sitting at his desk, talking on the phone. He motioned for me to sit across from him. He wore the same dark gray suit that he wore 2 years before. It sagged around his shoulders, and its color matched his hair. The piles of paper on his desk and on the top of his file cabinet had grown. I glanced out the window to the left. The garden in the courtyard seemed the same as it did my freshman year. He hung up the phone, picked up my file from his desk, and glanced at it. "You did very well last year," he said, "except in driver's education. You made the California Scholarship Federation. Congratulations." I had trouble parallel parking, I said, feeling embarrassed. Everyone had told me that driver education was an easy A, but not for me. Every time I got behind the steering wheel, I got nervous because I remembered the time our Cachita was hit from behind by a drunk driver in Selma. None of us were hurt, but it scared me. If it had not been for Roberto and those driving lessons in the van behind the gas company, I would have done worse, and I would have not have gotten my driver's license. "Don't worry about it. Just don't park next to my car," Mr. Kincaid said, laughing. "The important thing is that you're on the right track for college," he added. "I hear college is really hard," I said, remembering how anxious I felt when Mrs. Taylor, my social studies teacher, told the class how difficult college was compared to high school. She reminded us whenever someone grumbled about homework or grades, which was at least once every class. Mr. Kincaid stared at me briefly, then looked out the window. "It all depends," he said. "If you're well prepared in high school, you shouldn't have any trouble in college." "But what's the difference?" I asked. "Difference?" he responded, looking puzzled. "What's the difference between college and high school?" Mr. Kincaid grinned, took off his glasses, leaned forward, and said, "Rather than my telling you, why don't you visit one of our local colleges and find out for yourself? In a few weeks, we're taking California Scholarship Federation students by bus to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo to visit the campus. I'll sign you up for it." I was the first one on the bus the day of the field trip to Cal Poly. I sat towards the front with Ernie and Bob, two of my friends whom I had met in Squires Club. On our way to Cal Poly, we talked about classes and the dance coming up that Saturday night. As soon as they began discussing sports, I tuned out. I looked out the window. The highway snaked through rolling hills past Nipomo, Arroyo Grande, and Obispo Beach until we reached San Luis Obispo. The bus went up a grade onto the campus, and parked in front of the administration building. A tall, thin young man greeted us and gave us a walking tour, pointing out buildings and explaining different programs. He talked about majors, semesters, units, and many other things that I did not understand. Maybe this is why my teacher meant when she said college was difficult. I am surrounded by eucalyptus and pepper trees. The buildings were far apart and scattered throughout the campus. The air smelled fresh and sweet. I kept eyeing students who walked by, trying to see if they looked smart. They appeared to be like many of the other students at Santa Maria High School, but none looked like my friends from Bonita Ranch or friends I made in other labor camps, and that made me feel uncomfortable. ¿Qué significa eso? Ahí cuando está diciendo, they appeared to be like many of the other students at Santa Maria High School, but none of them looked like my friends from Bonito Ranch or my friends from the other labor camps. ¿Qué nos está dando ese significado? Dice que se parecen como los otros niños que están en la high school, pero no como sus amigos que están en el rancho de los otros lugares cuando ha ido a trabajar. ¿Qué nos da a entender? No ve hispanos, no está viendo mexicanos. Todos son a veces más güeros. In the afternoon, we visited one of the dormitories that was far away from the administration building. It was a long concrete building with windows in every room. It looked like a fancy army barrack. We went into the lounge to look around and rest for a few minutes. I saw a student sitting on the light brown couch reading. He had on a gray sweatshirt that read Cal Poly. I wondered if he had felt lonely, like Roberto and I did when we arrived alone. The student seemed annoyed by the noise we were making. He looked up, made a bad face, and left in a hurry, leaving one of his books behind on the couch. He was gone before I had a chance to tell him. I assumed it was a college book and wondered if I would be able to read it. Just as I was about to move towards the couch, I heard the guide say, "Time to head back." Everyone followed him out the door, but I stayed behind and waited until everyone had left before picking it up. It was an American history textbook. I looked at the table of contents, turned the page, and started reading. "I can read this," I exclaimed under my breath. Maybe college isn't as hard as my teacher said it is. That evening at work, I thought about our visit to Cal Poly. I imagined myself in college and living in the dorm away from home. I felt excited and sad at the same time.